incredibly evil.
Yeah. When you said about like when you're fighting with someone, that makes sense to me because sometimes you're just venting, right? You just want to put anger out and it makes you feel righteous and you're better. So
Mm-hmm.
I can understand when people do that. I don't understand when people want to feel shame about their body, about their life, about what they're doing, or feeling bad about their accomplishments, which is hard. But I have two things that comes to my mind. First, is the movie Social Media. I guess that it's part of what we're talking about Facebook and other social media. So it's talking explicitly. You know the movie, right?
Yes, I do.
So I think it's connected to that, and part of what the main people who talk there are designers, and I come from design, and I totally understand how designers do these tricks in order to make you do something because they are so they understand the audience, they understand the users, so they could just do exactly what makes them tick. So first, I'm taking responsibility as a designer to what we design and put out in the world. And the second thing that comes to my mind, I think before the pandemic, like 2 years ago, the last time I've been to San Francisco, they had this show in the main street of San Francisco, and it was talking about social media and tech and how it's influencing our lives. And they gave this small booklet. It's about detoxing from social media and from tech. And it was so strange to go to San Francisco when most of things there are born there, and to get this kit. It's called a detox kit or something to
Clever.
make people more aware of what they're doing. Did you see this?
No, I
It
haven't
was
seen
an
that, but it's very clever.
it's in an exhibition, very interesting one. So, do you think that people will need to go to detox from social media and tech?
Unfortunately, I don't think that as much. So I've written a book called the Second Civil War: A Citizen's Guide to Healing Our Fractured Nation, and I wrote that book, and the book is really good. So everyone who reads that book goes, "Oh my God, I totally get it. I see now how the media and social media has been playing me for a pawn and playing me for a fool and making me hate my neighbor. I understand it, but it's only changing one mind at a time." And I really, after writing that book, came to the realization that changing one mind at a time just does not change the world. The best way to change the world is to change systems. So if we really want to change the world, we have to invent a new system for how we connect online. And that's why I've launched, or I'm launching, a new civil media platform. So as much as I applaud their efforts for me writing a book, and I applaud you for going on podcasts and saying that social media is not healthy for us, and I applaud that group for putting out that box to help detox, systems is what changes the world.
Yeah. So I have two questions. First about the book, the Second Civil War. So what are the two parties and like two enemies in the war? So
That's a really good
explain
question.
that first.
Yeah, because the United States of America fought a civil war 140 years ago, and the dividing lines were incredibly clear. It was over
Yeah,
slavery and state versus federal rights. It was a very, very clear dividing lines. Here in
yeah.
the United States, there is another civil war going on right now. And when you ask, what is the war over? And there is no clear dividing line. The major dividing line is, well, I think your side is crazy, and I think that your side is trying to destroy the country, which is kind of obtuse.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
very
You
clear.
see that in the
Yeah.
US, in all over the world. I think it's not only in the US.
Yes, it's happening all over the world because our media system, our sensationalized media system, is like spreading like a cancer, not only through social media, but through cable news all around the world. So we are hardwired to want to consume more news because we think when we consume more news, we'll be better informed. And as we're better informed, we increase our chances of survival.
Yeah, and we want
However,
control. We feel that we're in control when we know the
yes,
situation. We know what's going on, so we'll
yes, we do.
be prepared.
Exactly. Now, but here's the truth is when you watch the news, what percentage of the news actually provides you information that you can use to make actionable decisions about your life?
I
And
don't
the
watch the
answer
news
is
anymore.
1%,
Yeah,
2%, 3%.
maybe.
The vast majority are about problems that are happening halfway around the world that you can do absolutely nothing about.
Yeah,
Nothing about. all those media, when I say media, I'm talking about cable news, social media, podcasts, radio. For the most part, all they're doing is pumping you full of fear and anxiety and hatred for another group of people. All they're doing is saying, how do you make good people do bad things? Is you convince them that somebody else is trying to take something away from them. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
You convince
Yeah.
them that somebody else is an outsider trying to take something away. And when you watch the news through that lens and see how often it's painting a good and a bad guy all the time, you'll realize that the news really has very little value for you. I mean, the actionable information that appears on the news is like traffic and weather. And there were some moments during the pandemic, and we're having a drought here in California. That news is information I can do something with, but that's a small percentages of what's actually on the news. I don't consume any news. And
Yeah.
when I
Me
say
too.
zero, I mean zero news.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that this pandemic made it even worse because we understood, especially I understood, I know, I think most people understood that when you're watching these like things that makes you so anxious, you're feeling helpless. You don't feel any control over your life. And when you're feeling helpless, you cannot really do anything. It's not connected to the pandemic and it's not connected to your personal life. You just feel you cannot do anything. And then it makes you more helpless and more anxious about your life, right? So for me, and Israel have lots of news. We have lots of news, right? Everything is changing all the time. You could tell lots of stories in Israel because everything is very fast here. So instead of someone trying to clear the view and say like, yeah, this is the situation, but this and that, like something that makes you feel a bit that you understand what's going on. Even it's not even like being in control, just to understand what's going on. And you have so many factors and so much hatred in Israel. Everybody's against everyone, more or less. You could say that, and you saw it so clearly in the pandemic that people, I think, really, I don't know. For me, I think I don't really trust what they're saying because who is against who? Just clear the picture. Like everybody's against everyone, and you're saying to yourself, like, if everyone is against everyone, what is it like? What does it mean? Like, how can I really understand that? How can I do something in my life as a person, as a civilian, as like you're so confused all the time. So for me, I'm not watching the news for years, but for sure not right now.
Good for
I'm
you.
not watching the news because it's like taking poison into your head
Yes.
and your heart.
Yes.
So I'm not doing that, and I don't feel that I don't know. I know exactly what's going on. Something is very important. Somebody would tell me. So that's
Exactly. That's what I found out too. Is if it's really important, someone brings it up in conversation. It's
yeah.
exactly it.
So people talk to me, and I listen. And if it's very important, I would take it into my considerations, and that's it. So it seems that because like media, after all, they're a for-profit organization, right? So they want you to watch the media, and if they'll tell you something which is good, it will not be so exciting for you because we're
Mm-hmm.
built to really be attached and focused on something that might hurt us, which are bad stimulus, right? So they're giving us what we're maybe even wired to see. And we are wired to really catch something. Maybe somebody is in the woods and there is, I don't know, a coyote there. I need to be aware of it.
Correct.
And in the leaves that are around me, that's nice, but I don't have to focus on them. They're good, right? So it's good. So they're like using really hijacking the way that we think in order to make us consume more,
Correct.
right?
Absolutely. This is exactly what they're doing. They are hijacking our Stone Age brain to make us think things are important when they're really not.